They played America's favorite TV couple. But what's happening now between John Stamos and Lori Loughlin is nothing like a sitcom. After nearly 3 decades of marriage, Lori's real-life relationship just imploded, and John Stamos isn't staying silent. In a shocking moment on his Good Guys podcast, he called her ex-husband a terrible narcissist and swore he'd never speak to him again. For a man known for charm and composure, that kind of emotional honesty hit differently. Fans weren't expecting Uncle Jesse to go this hard, but behind the scenes, Stamos has been quietly watching one of his closest friends break down, piece by piece, and now he's revealing what really went wrong and why he believes Lori Loughlin's ex busted her up to the core. But this story isn't just about a messy breakup. It's about loyalty, betrayal, and the side of Hollywood most people never see. After 28 years together, Lori Loughlin and Mossimo Giannulli's marriage quietly fell apart earlier this month. But the emotional fallout is anything but quiet. To most of the world, Lori and Mossimo looked unbreakable. The glamorous actress and the fashion designer built a life that seemed picture-perfect. A beautiful family, a luxurious home, and years of red carpet smiles. But behind that image, cracks had been forming for a long time. When news of their split hit, fans were stunned. Some wondered if the pressure from the 2020 college admissions scandal finally caught up with them. Others speculated that years of emotional distance had taken their toll. Whatever the truth is, the breakup left Lori devastated, as Stamos described, and it's clear he's been watching his longtime friend crumble under the weight of it. John Stamos, who's known Lori since the Full House days, didn't just see the headlines. He saw the pain behind them. And when he finally decided to speak out, he didn't hold back. But what exactly pushed him to break his silence after all these years? That's where the story gets explosive. When John Stamos sat down for his latest episode of the Good Guys podcast, no one expected fireworks, but what came out of his mouth left fans speechless. He didn't just share support for Lori Loughlin. He exposed the man she spent nearly 3 decades with. Stamos called Mossimo Giannulli a terrible narcissist and said, point blank, "I will never talk to him again." The internet blew up instantly. Fans couldn't believe that one of Hollywood's most laid-back stars had dropped such raw, unfiltered words. But this wasn't about gossip. It was about years of frustration finally spilling over. Stamos wasn't trying to make headlines. You could hear it in his voice. This was personal. He described watching Lori's marriage crumble, seeing her go through pain most people never knew about. And while he avoided the dirty details, he made one thing crystal clear. Lori had suffered far more than anyone realized. For John, this wasn't a Hollywood feud. It was a friend defending someone he's cared about for decades. But that podcast moment wasn't just emotional, it was a turning point. Because what Stamos said next revealed a side of Lori that the public has almost forgotten. When John Stamos talks about Lori Loughlin, it's not the voice of a co-star. It's the voice of someone who's seen the real person behind the spotlight. He didn't mince words. Lori, he said, is a saint. The kind of person who gives more than she ever gets back. A good mother, a loyal wife, and someone who's always tried to do the right thing, even when life hit her hardest. "I'm just heartbroken for her," he admitted. "She's devastated." Those words hit deep because you could hear the pain in his voice. This wasn't a casual statement for PR. This was a man watching a close friend break under the weight of a life she didn't deserve. Stamos described Lori as someone who's always been the calm in the storm, the person who cleans up the mess, holds her family together, and never lets the world see how much it hurts. To him, she's not the scandalized actress tabloids painted years ago. She's the woman who's been quietly holding herself together while everything around her fell apart. And as he defended her so openly, fans started to see something they hadn't in a long time. The softer, human side of Lori Loughlin that fame and controversy had almost erased. But just when people thought they understood why Stamos spoke up, he reminded everyone that this story goes way deeper than heartbreak. It's rooted in years of pain and one moment that changed everything. Before this breakup, Lori Loughlin had already been through one of the biggest public storms of her life. The 2020 college admissions scandal. It was the story that turned her from America's sweetheart into a national headline overnight. Reports claimed that Lori and Mossimo paid $500,000 to get their daughters, Olivia, Jade, and Isabella, into USC under fake athletic profiles. It became one of the most talked about scandals in Hollywood history, and the fallout was brutal. Stamos revealed that when the story first broke, Lori had no idea how bad it was going to get. He texted her right as the press conference aired on every major channel. After that message, she went completely silent. For weeks, no one heard from her. It was as if she disappeared under the weight of the shame and chaos. Eventually, both she and Mossimo pled guilty. Lori served 2 months in federal prison, and Mossimo served 5. But according to Stamos, that experience changed her forever, and not in the way people think. He watched how she carried herself afterward, quietly, humbly, trying to rebuild her life while the world still mocked her name. Through all of it, Mossimo stayed distant, while Lori tried to hold the pieces together. For Stamos, that was the first real sign of who was truly standing by her and who wasn't. And now, years later, he's finally saying out loud what he saw back then. That Lori was never the villain. She was someone trying to protect a family that was already falling apart, but the pain didn't stop there, because what John revealed next exposed just how deep the damage went inside that marriage. When John Stamos finally opened up about Lori's marriage, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. He admitted that every hardship, every heartbreak Lori went through, somehow traced back to Mossimo Giannulli. "I told her," he said, "all the negativity or hardships you faced are connected to this guy." And then he said the words that left listeners silent. Whatever he did to her, it busted her up to the core. That one line hit like a confession from someone who's seen too much. Stamos didn't give details. He didn't need to. His tone said everything. Years of emotional wear and tear, hidden behind smiles and Hollywood appearances, finally catching up to her. He described how Lori put up with a lot, always trying to make things better, always smoothing over the chaos he left behind. She was the one who fixed things, covered for mistakes, and carried the image of a happy home even when it wasn't, and Stamos made it clear he'd been by her side through a lot of it. Not as a gossip source, but as someone who truly cared. You could sense the frustration in his words, the heartbreak of watching a good person suffer while trying to keep her dignity intact. "She's an angel," he said, "and she always made things better." For fans, it painted a new picture. Not of a celebrity scandal, but of a woman quietly fighting for her own peace while the man beside her kept tearing it apart. But what Stamos said next turned the story from emotional to unforgettable. Because it wasn't just about the past anymore. It was a direct message to Mossimo himself. By the end of that podcast, John Stamos made it clear he wasn't holding back anymore after years of staying quiet. Years of watching his friend endure what he called a lot. Stamos finally said the words that shut the door for good. "I will never talk to him again." You could feel the weight in his voice. It wasn't anger, it was disappointment. A deep kind of sadness that comes from realizing someone you once respected caused real harm to a person you care about. Then he said something no one saw coming. "He's a terrible narcissist," Stamos revealed, "and I don't think you ever get out of that unless you're able to." He didn't say it to attack. He said it like a man who's seen the damage up close, who knows the cost of loving someone like that. But even through all the frustration, Stamos showed compassion. "I pray for this guy," he said quietly. "I pray he finds whatever hole he's trying to fill. I pray he gets some help." That's what makes this moment so powerful. It wasn't just rage or revenge. It was honesty. A rare, raw glimpse into the emotional toll behind a Hollywood facade. Fans flooded social media after the episode aired, some praising Stamos for defending Lori, others stunned at how deeply personal his words were. But one thing was clear, this wasn't about drama anymore. It was about standing up for someone he truly believed in, and even though Stamos said he'll never speak to Mossimo again, the impact of what he said might echo far beyond that podcast, because for the first time, someone close to the story said what everyone else had only whispered. In a town built on image, loyalty is rare, and that's what makes John Stamos' words hit so differently. Hollywood friendships often fade as soon as the spotlight moves. But Stamos and Loughlin? Their bond has survived decades, scandals, and public scrutiny. From their Full House days to now, their connection has always felt genuine, the kind that goes beyond scripts and cameras. When everyone else turned their backs on Lori after the college scandal, John didn't. He didn't join the critics, didn't chase headlines, he stood quietly in her corner. And now, when she's facing another heartbreak, he's once again reminding the world who she really is. It's something you rarely see anymore. Someone defending a friend not for publicity, not for sympathy, but because they know the truth behind the scenes. Stamos didn't gain anything by speaking out. In fact, he risked criticism, backlash, and more questions about a scandal most people wanted to forget. But he still did it because sometimes silence feels like betrayal. This is the side of Hollywood people don't talk about, the quiet loyalty, the friendships that outlast the fame, the human moments that prove even in a world obsessed with image, some hearts stay real. And for Lori, after everything she's lost, that loyalty might be the one thing that helps her start over. But the story doesn't end there, because what this moment really reveals about fame, forgiveness, and human nature is something every celebrity fears deep down. At its core, this isn't just a story about a celebrity breakup. It's about what happens when the curtain finally falls and the truth starts to show. John Stamos didn't speak out to stir drama. He spoke because he'd seen what years of pain, pressure, and silence can do to someone who's always tried to hold it together. For Lori Loughlin, this wasn't just the end of a marriage, it was the moment she finally stepped out of the shadow that's followed her for years. Through all the scandals, the headlines, and the judgment, Stamos reminded the world of something simple, that behind every Hollywood name is a real person trying to survive their own story. And sometimes, it takes someone brave enough to tell the truth out loud for the rest of us to see it. Fans have already started looking at Lori differently, not as the woman caught in controversy, but as someone rebuilding her life with the quiet support of a friend who never left her side. In an industry known for fake smiles and fast betrayals, that kind of loyalty stands out more than ever. Maybe that's why this story matters, because it proves that even in Hollywood, where image is everything, the most powerful thing you can do is simply stand by someone when the world walks away. And as for John Stamos, he didn't just defend his old co-star. He reminded everyone that real loyalty doesn't fade with fame. It shows up when the cameras stop rolling.